showing its consequences as well. The walls are closing in even on that factor right there. Tonight we have quite the show. We have quite the headlines for you as the walls seem to be closing in here tonight. We're going to get to some of the late night headlines, which include all the president's men are now preparing their alibis as they're being called in for testimony. Yes, they are. We'll be talking about Mr. Lutnick, the Treasury Secretary over there in the Trump administration, who is now really making history and having to explain his what he calls a just casual lunch. Yes, casual liaison of a lunch over there on Epstein Island. You're going to be getting into that in all the reactions from both sides of the aisle to more discoveries within these 3 million files. It is quite dastardly, to say the very least, and very disgusting. We'll be talking about that a little bit, as well as getting into the visit now as Mr. J.J. Sullivan is visiting Washington. And the security detail is pristine like we've never seen before. It's almost like Rome is here, the real true leader of it. Yes, we're going to be talking about Netanyahu as he makes his case for war with Iran. And we have certainly shared with you, if you missed last night, we've certainly shared the military movement at behalf of the U.S. military as it's getting closer and closer. It's inching its way closer into Tehran as we speak over there at the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to get an update on that and see what is kicking over there, as well as some other just real major anomalies stateside here, as the push for Savannah Guthrie's missing mother and the suffocation, speaking of which, of the headlines that seems to be taking, I'm telling you, it doesn't really smell right. It does not smell right at all. And I'll be getting into the stench of that as we go along here tonight. And also what some of the ordinary people here in the United States are doing about the victims, or excuse me, the victimizers of the Epstein victims, since the government never has really, historically speaking, investigated itself. So ordinary citizens are doing very extraordinary things. So you're going to be seeing that here tonight in a whopping video that I discovered, and I just I'm perplexed. So anyways, we're going to be getting to that. We are broadcasting live over there on TheRealDeanRyan. And if you're new to this is Late Night Update. Yeah, it's usually late. Usually our main show is always usually at 10 p.m. Eastern, but that is on hiatus until further notice. So we are doing late night updates here live in Studio B. We're also broadcasting live over there on Dean Ryan TV, over there on YouTube, as well as the incredibly frozen Rumble. Yes, I do have also the pleasure of telling you a major update on our guest schedule I will share with you towards the end of this late night update. So let's get to it here. There's a lot of things happening, and certainly it begins right here at home, as now there is a new suspect, it's now being said, yes, in the missing mother of Savannah Guthrie. Just to give you an update on what all the hoopla is all about. Well, it's now said that there is in the Guthrie disappearance, they're now detaining a person of interest who's been brought in for questioning. You might have heard about this. Well, let me tell you more about it here as we get into the domestics here about the headlines that are now hitting the shores here in the United States. Well, now investigators are working on an apparent abduction suspect of the Nancy Guthrie case, and they have now recently detained a person for questioning, according to a senior law enforcement official who's very familiar with the case. Thank God for it. Well, it was not immediately clear whether the person who was detained in Rio Rico, Arizona, about an hour's drive from South Tucson near the border with Mexico, was considered a suspect in the disappearance of Miss Guthrie, 84 years of age. Well, now a new surveillance footage has released some still shots, which I'll show you earlier today, that shows a person at Miss Guthrie's front door in the neighborhood near Tucson around the time that she vanished in the early hours of February 1st. The individual is seen wearing a ski mask, gloves, and backpack, and appears to be armed with a pistol. In case you have not seen it, and you were working and everything better to do, well, this is what we're talking about right here. Have a look at this guy right here. This seems to be the suspect in question. Yeah, showing up at the front door. Seems to be holding some wind chimes or some kind of dead chicken. That came into the Real Deal Media News hallways there. But here we go in closing here. Now, the daughter's plea, which we talked about last night, Savannah's plea, which was verbatim's word for word, script for script, right out of the movie Silence of the Lamb. You want to talk about eerie. Well, Miss Guthrie's daughter, Savannah Guthrie, who is of the Today Show fame, well, she posted the surveillance video to the social medias earlier this morning and implored the public to help bring her home. Now, the FBI said in a statement on Monday that it was not aware of any continued communication between Guthrie family and the suspected kidnappers. Now, not to sound heartless, but to reiterate what I was sharing last night, my gut feeling about this whole thing, it came about the same day the files dropped. It came about and was sent to TMZ, which is, covering up their hacking scandal that, Piers Morgan fled from in the UK, but they haven't been brought to justice, and who is these days over here in the United States. And it was given to Harvey Levin, the head of TMZ, who I've long suspected being a Mossad asset, just like TMZ and Mossad's storefront. And I find it very interesting how it was sent to him, who, his name is all up and down the Epstein files. And it was also sent with a ransom note of an unknown amount of Bitcoin until they changed it up in the script a little bit later and said, oh, yeah, we want 6 million in Bitcoin. Just like we saw the Erica Kirk just prance around on Super Bowl Sunday halftime, and whoever that script writer is, they forgot, oh, yeah, she's supposed to be 5 months pregnant now or whatever the case. Yeah, we have to take her out of the leather straps and the leotard. You see what I'm saying? They're changing writers midway. Now, I'm not trying to start rumors, but we might have received a tip-off of another surveillance photo of who the actual assailant may be. I haven't figured it out yet, but you might have an idea. Here's something we might have put together, and my word, look at those massive ears he has. I can't imagine who that is. No way it could be the Secretary of State. I refuse to believe it. Okay, so moving on now. So that seems to be taking the headlines here in the United States. Savannah Guthrie, that is, and her mother, who's missing, and we hope there's a better outcome. What else can we say? Okay, so here's what else seems to be happening now. There's been a lot of talk of the town about the redacted names on the Epstein files. It was the total miscalculation of it all, by design, on purpose. There's something to be said about it. And I'm also going to give credence and maybe shed light to another angle of this whole thing towards the end of this. Well, it was supposed to be the redacted names were supposed to be the victims of the crimes against humanity, the crimes against these teenagers at the time, but their names were not redacted. In fact, the only names that were redacted were the perpetrators. Well, that seems to have changed as of today, thanks to people like Thomas Massey, because if it wasn't for people like Thomas Massey, none of this would have came out. Now, as of today, the grand jury rebuffs the Justice Department's attempt to indict 6 Democrats in Congress. Now, the rejection was quite remarkable of a rebuke, suggesting that the ordinary citizens did not believe the lawmakers had committed any crimes. What am I talking about? Well, I'm also talking about the people, the Democrats in this case, that said, don't go to war, don't go to Venezuela. yeah, they were rebuked and are no longer seeking or will be seeking or seeing any kind of jail time. But the Justice Department was always also, in addition to that, trying to shut down any further investigation into the other 3 million files that were not presented to the American public as of yet. They're trying to shut down the Democrats who said that they're going after Trump. I mean, that's an obvious one. They're going after Trump if and when they get power in the midterms. But as of today, one of the Democrats who goes by the name Representative Rosh Hashanah, well, he stood on the floor of Congress today and actually said the names, 6 names, as they had 2 hours to look in the 3 million documents and try to find some of the redacted names of the people that were talking about the torture videos, which one of the torture video emails, it had a lot to do with Netanyahu, who they took out, of course. In fact, rather than me trying to explain it, here's a little clip of what I'm talking about. This happened today, and you're also going to see the reactions of it from both Democrats and Republicans' side of the aisle. Check this out, and this is a real stunning feat. And then we'll talk about Mr. Lutnick and what he's going to be facing after the fact. Here it is, reactions to it all.
Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men. These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikoladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner.
Congresswoman, are you among the members who got to see the unredacted files today?
Yes, I saw some of them, not all of them, obviously. And I'll be going back tomorrow to see more.
Any reaction on what you've seen so far?
I think that there's folks who are definitely implicated and co-conspirators. And, I don't think everyone there that was talking about underage girls being trafficked are victims.
Got it. And do you support any clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? She was saying that she was...
I do not.
Okay.
I think Ghislaine Maxwell should get more time, and she should definitely be in a harsher prison than what she's in. It's absolutely disgusting.
Got it. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Just wanted to ask you, have you had a chance to review any of the unredacted files over at the DOJ, the Epstein files?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I just came from there.
What can you tell us?
There's a bunch of sick fucks.
And I mean, anything more that we don't know? I feel like that's pretty well established.
I know. I think the part that is just so disgusting is that so many people knew.
Did he have any ties to any intelligence agencies? We've established some in our reporting, but wanted to know based on the files.
I only had about a half hour, so I'm going to go back again tomorrow. Okay. So mostly today I was just trying to go through a couple documents that was particularly interested in finding out.
What were those?
One was related to whether or not Trump, had ever kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, as he claimed.
What'd you find?
It's not true.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie. It's a lie. Or is it? Not everybody was completely shell-shocked and hopeful for justice. A lot of people, in some of the reactions, well, they were quite the opposite. And what I mean is quite, as you would say, pissed off, PO'd. And one of those people, no surprise, not a stranger around here. Well, that's the one and only... This guy, he seems to be everywhere lately. And I'm talking about, here's Alan Dershowitz, once again, in his response to it all. Yeah, he's not a happy camper. and he wants justice, but on the opposite end. Check this out.
Of McCarthyism that has afflicted America since the 1950s. I want you to look at this paper that has been reproduced and sent by the Justice Department. It's called Prominent Names. And it's a list of prominent people who have been accused. Every single name of every accuser has been blacked out. So, for example, let's turn to me. It says blank, 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 blacked out, stated she gave him a massage on Epstein's plane, parenthesis, not a minor. So let's understand that. This is an adult, a woman who was on Epstein's plane, she says. I was never on an Epstein plane with a young woman.
Right.
I never got a massage. This is total defamation, a total lie, but I can't disprove it because they won't give me her name. That's McCarthyism. On the issue of his spying okay, well, let me continue.
Let's get
on
to
the issue of his for the Mossad, that comes from what is called an undercover confidential source. I happen to know who the source is. The source is somebody who the FBI investigated, found to be totally incredible, lacked all credibility. This is the worst form of McCarthyism. Why are we tolerating this? Why are we allowing accusations without the names of the accusers? For example, in my case, it's an adult woman. We don't know whether she's a victim. We don't know whether she's a perpetrator. We don't know whether she's a co-conspirator. Why do you hide her name and produce the name of the people who are accused? That's guilt by accusation. That's guilt by association. It's McCarthyism. It's wrong. It's unconstitutional. It has to stop. And the media is playing a role in this. Politicians are playing a role in this. Epstein will never
Let
be
me jump in
remembered
for a
who
second.
he is. He will be remembered for inciting McCarthyism that infects America now more than it ever has since the 1950s. It has to stop.
Well, I can't imagine why Alan is so really broken up. Why is he so shattered? I mean, shouldn't he be like the rest of us in requesting, in demanding the redacted names, not be of the victims, but I don't know, the perpetrators, the cannibalist, the Pedialites, the vampires? What is he all worried about? Or could it be this? Let me tell you about this now. Maybe Alan Dershowitz, who could be watching here tonight, if he's ever so lucky. Well, now, get this now. Epstein directed aid to obtain hidden video cameras. Could it be that Alan Dershowitz, Mr. Prestige, Mr. Law and Order, Mr. Ambulance Chaser, could it be that he might be on a hidden camera somewhere? I'd hate to be the one of the G-men who has to get assigned to watch one of them videos, but in this case, well, here's a quote. "I'm installing them into Kleenex boxes now," the aide replied in a 2014 email exchange with then Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is so out into the ionospheres of everyday Americans right now. I mean, the New York Times have to cover it, and you know that's a big deal when they have to cover it. That means the soccer moms and everybody else is now talking about this at their PTA meetings and all the Tupperware parties. And believe me, I've infiltrated those circles and I know what I'm talking about. Well, now Jeffrey Epstein directed one of his aides to obtain a hidden video camera, apparently that he set up at his home over there in Palm Beach, Florida. I mean, does he have no respect for people's privacy these days? Jeffrey Epstein, according to a recently released email, that is. Now, the purpose of the cameras was not clear. Clearly, I mean, he was concerned about security, or was he? Well, the purpose was not clear, but a number of Mr. Epstein's victims have said that they have suspected that they were being recorded many times. Well, that has fueled speculation that he was collecting compromising information on his powerful acquaintances through no evidence, although no evidence, that is, has emerged to prove those claims. Yes. Well, here's a quote. "Let's get 3 motion-detected hidden cameras that record," Mr. Epstein wrote to a Larry Vysotsky, his longtime pilot, who has said he at times set up audio and video equipment for Mr. Epstein in his residences. Now, Mr. Vysotsky replied that he had already purchased 2 motion sensor cameras from a store that sold surveillance equipment in Fort Lauderdale. and was in the process of figuring out how they worked. It's amazing how small they are, he wrote. Well, some of them even recorded upwards of 64 hours total. And that's a lot. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of footage. And that's a lot of blackmail. Well, though, in concluding in one of the emails, which previously reported by the Graph, well, it's an indication that Mr. Epstein installed many surveillance cameras inside all of his homes, including his Upper East Side townhouse over there in New York, just to add. Now, what are they going to do with this? Who has these videos, I ask? Who has these videos? And is this why Dershowitz is very scared? I mean, what does Ben Shapiro think about this? Because his opinion in these times are very, very much needed and very valid. Well, what is he saying? Well, here's what he's saying. Well, here's Shapiro. He's saying the following. Well, he's saying the claim that Israel had anything to do with Epstein is baseless and anti-Semitic garbage. Well, thank you, Ben. My anxiety has now gone down. Thank you for that. Reassuring that Israel had nothing to do with this. Well, sure they did, because we'll get to them in a minute. But what about some of the people who are in the Trump cabinet, in the Trump administration right now as we speak? Well, I'm talking about Treasury Secretary Lutnick. Well, it's now reached a fever pitch that even Miss Leavitt to the press corps speaker. Well, this is what she had to say before I fall down. Check this out.
Secretary Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill, and he said that he had visited Epstein's Island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
Yes, that's right. Mr. Howard Lutnick, the Treasury Secretary, is now having to answer a lot of things here. We'll get to his footage in a minute, but let me just give you some background on this. I'm all over the place here, and yes, that's true. Because now, here's a quote. So you lied about your relationship with sex trafficker, now what? It's one of these new books I'm sure he's working on for dummies. Well, Howard Lutnick, who is now having to face some music, the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, clearly wasn't really in the state of mind to be questioned about his relationship with the wink, wink, late Jeffrey Epstein, was he? On a New York Post podcast recently, as of October, Lutnick claimed that he visited Epstein's home in New York City only one time prior to the 2008 conviction for soliciting a prostitute and soliciting a minor. Well, Lutnick said that he was so put off by that disgusting person, unquote, that he had no contact with him after that. And that's my story, Lutnick added. And one absolutely one and done. That's what he said. Well, now we're finding out it's a lie. Oh, yeah. Well, now, according to recent documents that have now been included in the Justice Department's latest legally mandated release of the Epstein files, the largest batch to date, well, it looks like Lutnick has early onslaught of Alzheimer's, or just a Pinocchio nose because he's a liar. Well, Lutnick regularly communicated with that disgusting person for years after Epstein's 2008 conviction. It's now coming out. He went into business with him. That's how close they were. He even visited Epstein's notorious island where many crimes allegedly took place with his own children and wife. A family affair. Yeah. Even the culture-warring Republican that he claims to be, Eric Erickson, who is who's cynical whether anyone's in politics or media has authentic desire for justice when it comes to Epstein crimes. Well, he even wrote that Lutnick, quote, clearly lied about his relationship with Epstein, which turned out to be much deeper and lasted much longer than Mr. Lutnick said. Now, the Commerce Department and the Trump White House both spent yesterday defending Lutnick by casting blame on the media once again of explaining the secretary's dishonest statements to that New York Post podcast last October. Well, however, today, Lutnick was left to defend himself when he appeared on Capitol Hill for a hearing on funding for broadband. He took the moment to downplay his relationship with Epstein once again because it worked the first time. And this time, I'm not sure it fared out in his favor. Now, the calls are getting louder and louder, led by Thomas Massie and many, for Lutnick to step down, but it doesn't look like he will, because what shielding will he have if he does such a thing? Well, here's what happened earlier today. The perp walk and then the questioning, just in that order, as Lutnick testified. Check this out.
People about your interactions with Epstein?
Did you have any financial involvement with Jeffrey Epstein?
Why did you keep contact with Jeffrey Epstein after he pled guilty to sex crimes?
Come on, give us some space. Give us some space.
What do you say to the Democrats calling on for you to resign?
Give us some space.
Mr. Epstein, people of your level in the British government have been forced to
Give us some
resign.
space.
Will you resign?
Give us some space. Give us some space.
Why did you keep contact with Jeffrey Epstein after he pled guilty?
I look forward to testifying today.
Did you mischaracterize your relationship with him?
Some space.
Why did you say you found him gross but still kept in contact with him?
What do you say to those who are calling for you to resign now?
Are you willing to speak to Congress about this?
I'm going to speak to Congress right now.
Do you expect to be asked about Epstein?
Why did you mischaracterize?
Lutnick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's
When I think of family vacations, I'm not sure Epstein Island really makes the top 3 in my case. Wow. Is he not cooked or what? That guy is so toast. And at least in public opinion, but that's what it kind of comes down to. Before we had to break here at Late Night Update, a lot of people feel hopeless out there. Really, truly, honestly, they really do. And the morale in this country has never been so low. A recent poll has been taken over there in the New York Times. And yes, indeed, the morale is pretty low because a lot of people feel that no justice will be had when it comes to these people. No justice will be had. Well, the power is in our own palms, in our own hands. As we go to break, I'm going to leave you with this next footage here. And when we come back, we're going to get into some internationals and the arrival of Netanyahu, and then something happened in Canada. But before we do, some people over there in Ohio are taking matters into their own hands. And I think this could be a real example that could be set here that could spread like wildfire across the world. This isn't just an North American centric. The ideas that are being shed upon ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things is really an example to be set, and it's meant to be expressed in practice worldwide. So we'll be back after this right here at Late Night Update, but take some notes because we have the power. We're stronger in numbers, and we are stronger when we're not divided. And I think we'll learn something from this.
That Leslie Wexner, who is part of a trifecta of sexual abuse scandals.
How you doing? Are we gonna get some justice for the survivors, Mr. T-Berry? Survivors outside, we're gonna get some justice for them. Johnson, you ever get tired of telling lies for these people? You ever get tired of telling lies for these people?
I don't tell any lies.
Where's Wexner? What's he doing today?
You have to ask his people.
Well, his people's right there. Board Chairman John Zeiger is his personal lawyer. Where's Wexner, Zeiger? We got to get you straightened up, brother.
I don't,
you don't think it's a conflict of interest?
I speak for the university, only the university.
How's this?
I'll talk to you later. This was fun.
Mr. Carpenter, we're gonna get some justice for the survivors today.
Mr. Marshall,
I know you're.
This gentleman is here accosting people coming into the courtroom. This gentleman right here.
Should Wexner's name share the same line with a guy like Woody Hayes?
Well,
he also handpicked Mike Jeffries, the former Abercrombie CEO. He's been indicted for sexual trafficking, interstate prostitution. So that's the trifecta. Wexner.
That's not good. Look, I don't have. If you, I think Wexner's been tied to Epstein the whole time. What do you expect? What do you expect?
I expect some people to talk about it, to get it in the media, to use your office. Leslie Wexner's been running around this city for 40 years, being a sex, in my opinion, being a sex criminal, and you guys act like you got no power. I put you on the spot, and I'm just a lowly county commissioner. You're one of the most powerful people in this county, brother. And you're going to stand here and act, I'm a small bean? Don't play that act with me.
Listen, I think it's wrong. I think that this needs to come to light, and somebody's going to step up and say, all right, this happened, and agree to it. But you know what's happening at the national level, what's happening here, they're hiding all this stuff. I think it's wrong.
The Wexner facility, that name was put up there with Woody Hayes, the most prestigious name in university history. $5 million donation. 2.5 came from his wife. The other 2.5 came from Jeffrey Epstein, his foundation, with Giselle Maxwell. 2.5.
If you want to forward that to me, I'll look at it.
And I'm giving you the heads up because there's a storm coming.
Well, then that's a problem for him if that's the case.
Yeah.
Do I like Les Wexner? I barely know the guy, but do I like what he's done?
Will you give his money back? Your campaign money?
He gave me money years ago.
Will you give that money back to charity?
Sure.
All right, there we go. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's a sad state of affairs, brother.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone, to Late Night Update. I am still Dean Ryan, as you can almost plainly see, who is, I'm blacking out. I'm blacking out. I'm camping. That's what I am doing. Tonight is brought to you by the Real Deal Media Night Owls, who make it all possible, as tonight is definitely one of a kind. You're not going to see shows like this anywhere else, I swear to you. Tonight's all you had to do to become a night owl, because you're missing out, is go to realdealmedia.tv, become iconic, not ironic, and join the Night Owls tonight. I'll wait till tomorrow. And then I'll tell you a scary story too while I'm at it. I am recovering from some major illness, and one of my colleagues too, very sick too. He actually recovered, one of our tech guys, and he just relapsed last night, and his wife got sick too. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it, and I think the same is happening to me. I feel I can't describe when I didn't think I was going to even be able to be here tonight. I had a cough that was so suffocating. It's hard to sleep throughout the night. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? And it's so frustrating. It's actually depressing. But anyways, if you want to be depressed with me too, feel free to go to realdealmedia.tv, realdealmedia.tv. Also, lots of drunk drivers lately. Just in California too, I think there's now even new legislation to tackle the problem here. It is a epidemic, it seems to be, in California at least. And I'm talking about young people, like 24, like every single night. There's just a car wreck. I don't know if it's the miracle jabs plus the alcohol. Something's going on. I haven't put my finger on it. But if you want to help bring back World at War, and you've had enough of this late night update, doohickey. We could use your love and support, prayers, hugs, and everything in between. All sorts. I'll actually have a definitive URL for something tomorrow night. But in the meanwhile, I'll leave this up too. After a freak accident has really taken away our computer abilities. When I say our, I mean me and my multiple personalities. If you want to help bring that back, I'll leave that up for you. Okay. Tonight is the walls are closing in, a phrase often used during the Obama years, during the Trump years, a phrase that just doesn't seem to die while it's coming back again. And clearly the walls are closing in. Before we get to the man of the hour who came to Washington, he came, he saw, he conquered, he blackmailed. We'll get to Netanyahu in a minute, but there's some very weird, I should say, things of interest in the headlines that are happening internationally that you probably need to know about, as Late Night Update predominantly has always been about the geopolitics that are going on. But let me tell you about this now. There's now been, this according to the AP, a major shooting has now happened in British Columbia, BC, today over there in Canada, leaving 10 dead, including the shooter. Let me tell you a bit about this. This is quite shocking. It's made the headlines here in the United States. Over there in Vancouver, Canada, this is, British Columbia over there in Vancouver, which I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong out there, is accelerating into a New Delhi. And I mean the one in India. I could be wrong on that. I think I'm right. 54% Indian. You talk about Kalergi plan on curry and steroids. Well, this might be something related to it. Let's find out. There's now a shooting. I'm sorry. It's just it's the time of the season. Well, shooting now at a school over there in British Columbia has now left 8 dead, including the suspect, and with 2 more people found dead at a home believed to be connected to the incident over there in Canada. As Canadian authorities have now said, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who really amount to nothing usually. Well, in this case, they've said more than 25 people are injured, including 2 with life-threatening injuries after the shooting at a Tumbler Ridge Secondary School has now taken place. School shootings are rare in Canada because, they got rid of all the guns. Now, the town of Tumbler Ridge, which has a population of 2,400 people, is more than 1,000 kilometers, and according to my math, that's 600 miles north of Vancouver, near the border with Alberta. The provincial government website, it states that this particular school has 175 students now. The RCMP superintendent, Mr. Ken Floyd, told reporters that the investigators had identified the shooter but would not release the name, but the suspect's motive remained unclear. That should tell you something right there. Before I go any further, that should tell you that it's somebody who is not of the natural Canadian population, meaning a tourist, meaning a migrant, meaning someone who doesn't tan easily. Therefore, they don't want to release the name because you know damn well if it was, some good old Canuck hokey from Muskogee sipping on, Canadian Dry, they would be the first to bring that Canadian guy's name up there. Absolutely. They'd probably say some old, hockey loving, beer guzzling, musket tooting Canadian guy. He did this because he hates people of color. You know damn well that is because where Canada is in their wokeness is almost where LA was in 2017, 2018. They're like 8 years in the past. So if they're watching this now, I'm in the future. I'm 8 years in the future. They're 8 years in the past, societal speaking wise, just to give you an indication of what I'm talking about here. Just incredible. Just incredible how that is. So yeah, a massive shooting. Let me go further because the redundance is quite shocking. Now, so 25 dead now. School shootings are rare in Canada. You don't say, eh? I never would have guessed. They took everyone's guns. How did this happen? Just like Australia. How did that happen? I mean, they took everybody's guns. I mean, clearly, we got to take more guns if there's, people shooting in these rare instances. We have to have people defenseless so we could stop these shootings. Don't you love the logic there? Well, here's what Mr. Floyd said, because he has the brain of just like a ladybug. And ask Lindsey Graham, he'll tell you. Well, he's saying, quote, "We are not in a place to understand why or what may have motivated the tragedy. We don't know. We barely know English." We added that the police are still investigating how the victims are connected to the shooter. We don't even know how that's connected. In fact, I don't even know why they hired me to be the head of this. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know who I am. In fact, I'll just check myself in to the, he should go kill himself. The Kevorkian Institute. Now, here's a quote. They're saying, as part of the initial response to the active shooting, police entered the school to locate the threat. During the search, officers located multiple victims. An individual believed to be the shooter was also found deceased, what appears to be a self-inflicted injury. So they know how many people died. They know how the shooter killed himself. It seems to be self-inflicted. They don't know who the shooter is. They can't describe who the shooter was. They don't know what the motive is. They happen to find two people connected to the shooter at a home who are dead. They don't know how that's connected and why, but they sure know the tally marks of the death count, don't they? And there's just this, I guess it was just a big euthanasia, just kind of an event that the RCMP, who are totally as corrupt as Trudeau and his mother and the whole family are, when they're not busy money laundering, money grubbing, and welcoming in the third and the fourth world. Yeah, this is what they're doing. They're tallying up the dead bodies because this is good for them in Canada. The more dead white people, the better. The more promotions they get. That's what Dudley Do-Right is not really allowed to say, so I have to say it for him, because that's the kind of help the Canadian law enforcement need. They need translators like me. Now, here's some more additional information so we understand how this works. Now, 6 additional individuals that we know about, not including the suspect, have been located deceased inside the school. 2 victims have been airlifted to the hospital with serious or life-threatening injuries. A 3rd victim died while being transported to the hospital. I mean, the precision of timing in exit and entrance wounds to the detailed report here it's next level. I mean, really, it's forensic CSI to the umpteenth power. Now, the Peace River South School District said earlier Tuesday that there was a lockdown and secure and hold. There's a lockdown and a secure and hold. There wasn't one before in the gun-free zone, but there is one now. Okay. In case I guess there's more shooters. Well, at both of the secondary schools. All right. So now Larry Neufeld, who is a member of the legislature of the Peace River South, just in case you want to know his credentials, has been sent out to the community to show support and help the ambulance people. I mean, this is just incredible. He's there to tell people his hearts go out to the people who they don't even know why they died. They don't know who the shooter is. I guess the shooter's invisible. He has no skin pigmentation. He has no, I'm disappointed there's no manifesto. There's no music video. There's no engraved initials. There's no stickers that say kill Whitey. There's nothing. It's just an unfortunate incident by an unknown assailant with no origin, no dialect, no face, just, eyes without a face, I guess, as the song says. So that's what we know what's happening in Canada. Absolutely nothing except for dead bodies. So there you go. Hopefully that makes sense. And just to reiterate, Canada is 8 years behind. I'm 8 years in the future. We know how this goes. So that's happening in Canada. There's your news on the hour, every hour. Now, here's what's happening in Colombia. And I doubt Colombia in the way they describe their unfortunate incidents we're about to get into are as accurate as we just heard about there in Canada. Well, in this case now, Colombian president claims to have escaped assassination attempt. Of course, the Trump administration threatened to bomb and or go to war with Colombia and invade them. Yeah, you better believe the CIA, with the help of their friends Mossad, their cousins, they're trying to kill virtually everybody and anybody who opposes Zionism, who has just an inkling of power in South Central America and, dare I say, North America too, which probably that might be what that school shooting was all about. Don't you think? They don't want to say it, but sometimes I have to say it for them, or else I get violent too. Now, on Monday night, the President Petro's helicopter was unable to land at his destination over there at the Caribbean coast because of fears that people he did not name, nobody likes to name people anymore. Have you noticed the theme here tonight? Quote, we're going to shoot at. That's what he said. Another unnamed assailant they can't describe, that has no face, no name, no origin. Is this a drinking game we're playing here tonight and I'm unaware of? This is incredible. Well, now the Colombian president, Gustavo Petro, said Tuesday he escaped the assassination attempt hours earlier after months of warnings about an alleged plot by drug traffickers to target him. Yeah, drug traffickers from, parts of the world that, anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Well, his helicopter was unable to land at his destination on the Caribbean coast because he feared of the unspecified people that were going to shoot at him. Well, here's a quote. He said, we headed out to the open sea for roughly 3 to 4 hours. We went on a 3-hour tour with a professor, an actress, and 2 wealthy people, and a bumbling fool at the helm of the ship. Well, they arrived somewhere they weren't supposed to go. Yes, said the movie star. Escaping from being killed, they said. Now, Petro's cabinet said a meeting that that's exactly what happened. His claim amid a surge in violence in months ahead of a presidential election in a country marred by decades of conflict between guerrilla forces and other unnamed armed groups backed by certain countries that have a real appetite for whatever Colombia produces, but also have an appetite for destruction of what they call competition. That's right, says the cocaine importing agency. Now, Petro, who's constitutionally barred from seeking a second term, has claimed that the drug trafficking cabal has had sights on ending his life ever since he assumed office once again in August of 2022. There you have it. Oh, well, here's a little fun fact. He's the first ever leftist president in South America's, that South American country, Colombia. And personal friends of Juan Valdez. I'm just finding out. Just thought to let you know. Well, anyways, moving on here, changing lanes here, coming back home here to Roost. Well, we welcomed a wonderful guest to Washington earlier today. You might have missed it. No, I'm not talking about the Pope. No. Or the winner of the Australian Open. No, not that. The winner of, the hearts and minds of everyone in Washington, D.C. I'm talking about Mr. J.J. Sullivan, the makeup artist of the year for Estee Lauder and the incredible furniture salesman of 2001. Well, that's right. Benjamin Netanyahu has now made his way to Washington, and a lot of people are talking about it, and the security detail alone is something to be seen. Yeah, that's true. But before I tell you a bit more about it, how about some illustrations and some visuals to really capture the essence of John J. Sullivan himself? Check this out.
You will go immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas.
Hamas. See, I think he's sick too. It's not just me. There's the security detail of the shadow president of the United States and the current resident over there in Malibu, no joke, Mr. John J. Sullivan, who goes by Netanyahu, on stage. That's his stage name. Well, he has now come to Washington just in the nick of time when we were starting to feel like we were not going to go to war. And I was saying to myself, who are we if we don't have a war with Iran? What do we stand for? If we don't stand for Israel, who will? Damn it, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of these unknown assailants with no face, no names. We know who they are now over there in Iran. We're ready for it. Put me in, coach, says Lindsey Graham. Well, this is now coming in a very special time. This is the 6th time for the visit of the secret American intel agent, Netanyahu. Did I say that? Oops. Yeah, this is his 6th visit to a place he's now calling home over there at the White House. His second home is Mar-a-Lago, and third home is that piece of crap townhome he lives in Tel Aviv. We don't talk about that. Well, in this case now, things are starting to heat up over there as Iranian officials are now preparing for an onslaught war, although some are hopeful for negotiations with Trump as they will, peace and diplomacy will stand true. But others say, who are quite, glasses half empty, saying this is to buy time to move military assets closer to Tehran over there in the Strait of Hormuz. Let me tell you more about it. Is my war, compass is starting to ring, just like Netanyahu's sphincter is starting to sing. Well, Iran propaganda video has showed the beautiful Armada. If you haven't seen it, it's a sight to be seen. It's quite beautiful. It's right up there with Swan Lake and the Nutcracker. Well, in this case, it's obliterated in a World War III warning. The new AI-generated propaganda video shows a mass attack on the U.S. carrier strike group in the Middle East. I, for one, this is why I'm against AI. I tell you, you give it to people, they just have wild imaginations. In this case, the Iranian regime has unveiled a disturbing propaganda video depicting the destruction of Donald Trump's Armada stationed over there in the Middle East. The footage portrays a coordinated assault on the U.S. carrier strike group deployed over there in the region that's getting closer and closer to their country, featuring missiles, the wonderful submarines, the patrol vessels, an incredible ensemble of fleet jet-powered Shahed drones, which if you haven't seen, you're really missing out. The same unnamed aircraft, see, that's not the only ones that are unnamed. Aircraft over there, the Russia has deployed extensively to terrorize Ukraine. Yes, well, Zelensky might know a thing or two. Well, the unsettling propaganda-generated AI video is now also displaying the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier being hit by, that's right, a torpedo. Not since, not since Minecraft have we seen such things. No, we haven't. But in this case, sailors racing across the flight deck as missiles bombard the warship. It's quite a destructive type of AI video. Now, the video also now concludes with Iranian forces celebrating victoriously, while defeated American troops are led onto a vessel with their hands placed on their heads. Total defeat and total Louisville. That's right. Just in time for the Olympics, they said. Now, in addition to this now, top Iranian security officials have now sent an additional nuclear message, just in case their message is not getting through, which I don't know how that's possible. Unless, some people don't listen. Well, now the top Iran security official issues now another nuclear message ahead of U.S. talks. That's absolutely now the Iran and United States, who are now poised to hold negotiations in Oman over Tehran's nuclear program after government killed 30,000 protesters who just happened to be holding machine Gatling guns, machetes, grenades in some cases, but were deemed peaceful by the American media and press. That's the double standard, I'm telling you. People are going to get hurt with that kind of talk now. A senior Iranian security official visited Oman on Tuesday as the Gulf nation continues to mediate discussions between the Tehran and Washington regarding Iran's nuclear program, which Israel says must go. But in addition, Israel wants them to disarm their missile program. It's never good enough for these people. It's never good enough. They get to third base. No, they want to go home and do it all over again. That's the kind of people who run Israel. And that's the kind of people who vote for them. Continuing. Now, the talks are meant to prevent military action, they're saying. Now, Ali Larjani, who previously served as Iran's parliament speaker, now acts as a secretary of the Supreme National Security Council. He's believed to have focused his visit on the next steps following last week's initial round of direct negotiations with American officials over there in Muscat. Oh, yes. Well, in this case, the negotiations were said to have gone so well that Netanyahu had to make an unannounced emergency visit to Washington for the 6th time, which we just shared with you there. Now, the talks with what looked like a letter encased in a plastic next to Khomeini's officials was met with laughter and good cheer. Now, Iranian news outlets reported that Larijani was expected to deliver the important message. However, the Iranian state TV stated that it actually handed over a letter instead, and it was hand-delivered with grin and cheer and charm, I might add. Well, Iran and the United States were positioned on Friday to engage in negotiations, focusing on, at a minimum, on Tehran's nuclear program, following a turbulent week that had originally included plans for broader regional discussions over there in Turkey, where they were going to talk Turkey. Now that was altered, some might say, as now the two nations reconvened once again, as Netanyahu tried to break that up initially. They've now reconvened over there at the Arabian Peninsula's eastern coast, several months after the previous diplomatic efforts collapsed. As you might recall, the Iranian negotiators were assassinated by Israel. Israel gets jealous when America has peace negotiations without them. In fact, peace is not in their vocabulary. It's not even Yiddish, for what I know. So there you have it. Very illuminating. And finally, this comes out of the Jerusalem Post that I read daily. I do, because we have to know all sorts of the ball field. Well, now this is now saying that, quote, Iran is preparing for possible U.S. strike. Experts who are familiar with the matter say. They don't have names, but they're experts. Well, recently revealed images show the Iranian regime has now covered the middle and southern entrances of a nuclear facility with soil and the northern tunnel entrance, which features additional passive defense measures. Now, don't you dare ask about Israelis' nuclear program, because that would be anti-Semitic, and I, for one, I'll shut down this show real fast. Now, the Islamic Republic is now likely preparing for the possibility of a U.S. strike, which was said in 1995, then again reiterated back in 2001, and throughout the next 20 years by Netanyahu. Oh, man, those memories. So now, any day now, they're going to be striking all of us. They could kill or assassinate the U.S. president, they're saying. However, experts told the Jerusalem Post just on Tuesday, today, after receiving high-resolution Sunday satellite images, that it's a complex situation, that it's very imminent now more than ever before. Yes, they're saying that they're covering it up and they're hiding it with soil and dirt. That's all they're doing, like a sandcastle. My God, these experts, how do they figure things out? I want to be an expert too. They're saying they're backfilling the tunnel entrances with dirt. They would dampen up the soil, cover it with like platunias, so that nobody would see the missiles there and the rockets. Who do they think they are? Are they hiding things from? We see everything. They're trying to enrich uranium to destroy us Jews. Preparations like these were last observed in the days before Operation Midnight Hammer. We've forgotten. This is what Israel's saying. So there you have it. So now we see what is now being served up into Donald Trump's ear right now as we speak, as Netanyahu is right there. Just in the nick of time, he's Mr. Johnny on the spot, Benny and the Jets. I want to share with you something that was sent to me by Forsetti. I want to share this with you. But before I do, I want to show you this congressman, because people are getting really pissed off here in the United States. I don't know if you've noticed. They're now confronting congressmen who are what appears to be Israeli first. So have a look at this, and then I'm going to share with you something that was discovered by our very own Forsetti. And also, I'm going to share with you the prediction that he made in 2020 and how it's now coming out. Well, it should be coming out very soon. Check this out, and we'll return after this.
Sir, can we ask you America first or Israel first?
Israel first.
Israel first?
Yes.
Before America?
No, of course not.
You fat penguin? That's
You
what
know,
you have to
in
say?
these halls, you're going to get in a lot of trouble.
You're a
everybody.
fat, disgusting penguin, sir.
No, you're a loser.
You're a fat,
and
disgusting
you're a
penguin.
loser. You're the
You're a
biggest
fat,
loser that
disgusting
ever
penguin.
existed. All you guys are losers.
You're a fat,
You're
disgusting
losers
penguin.
that hate America and hate Jews.
You're a fat, disgusting penguin, sir. You're a
How do you
fat,
feel about Palestine again? Can you let us know?
I'm Syrian.
You're
Nobody gives a shit, right?
You said nobody
Can you
gives a
repeat?
shit, right?
What? Pal, I'm leaving. You don't have the right to harass people in these halls.
We're just asking you a question, sir. You cursed at us, bro.
I did not curse.
You
at
said nobody gives a shit. We didn't curse at you.
talking
We
about-
treated you respectfully, fat boy.
I didn't curse
You said
at
nobody
guys.
gives a shit. You didn't say that. We have it on camera. Are you going to lie
No,
now?
you didn't.
You're a lying sack of crap, sir. You're a fat penguin-looking PDF, sir. You're a PDF, brother. PDF file.
Okay, isn't that something? That guy's, yeah, he's the new penguin, apparently. That's what it seems to be. He's the new penguin, but that gives you an idea of the temperature right here in the United States. Yeah, the temperature is so hot here. I'm burning up as we speak. Look at me. I'm turning, yes, I'm heating up with fury, anger, and a little bit of hunger as well. I want to share with you this. This was found by our very own Forseti, our EU insider, who I have been just amazed by and working with since the beginning of this whole thing here, since 2020. Hopefully I can share this on the screen, but knowing my luck, I probably won't. Anyways, I can't. Oh, anyways, I'm going to read it to you because he said that maybe this is two ways you could take this. This is either being discovered in the 3 million documents that have been released now. Here it is. You're going to see it on your screen here. This is either one or two things. It's either being discovered now in the 3 million documents of the Epstein files that have been released, or it's a reason that the delay is happening because they're scrubbing and or altering some of the files. So it's depending which side of reality you want to abide by. And it's the following here. Here it is. I'll read it to you. This is dated all the way back 2019. It goes the following. Trump said Maxwell was Epstein's operative. Quote, she is evil and focus on her. Trump told Redacted that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present and Trump got the hell out of there. Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out they were investigating Epstein. So let me set the premise up for you here. So it's one of those two things, but not limited to. What we could be witnessing is a slow walk to alter some of the files to make sure that Trump comes out of this smelling like a rose, or this is legitimate for that fact. And if so, if this is legitimate, Trump could ultimately be performing one of the biggest sting operations with extreme precision, something we haven't seen since that report over there in Canada on the unnamed no-face killer. That's how precise we're talking here. And if that is precision, that means he is ultimately portraying himself as the bad guy to lure in a Democratic majority, which is going to take everything in the midterms, bring him into court, and then everything unleashes. Everything comes out in discovery. If that's the case, and Forseti myself, we're looking into it further, then, man, he plays an ultimate boogeyman. I mean, you thought Jack Nicholson was good in Batman. I mean, Trump's got it down to a T, if that's the case. So I want to present those two perspectives for you. And that is up to you which one you will subscribe to. I asked Forseti which one he thought was, he said he's on the fence. He'll look further into it. So that's something to think about. Also, he shared with me one final thing here. What we will find out, either in this first batch or provided the next batch gets released, is the creation of the EU, where Epstein had a lot of influence into the EU, which Forseti said on our broadcast in 2020, it was America at War at the time, that the whole concept of the EU, which, well, publicly it was presented as European Union was created to model the United States, to help trade, get rid of trade barriers and help freely trade between the different countries and a free, easier travel. That was all for show. With the true nature and the true reason and concept of the EU, and there was a lot of influence by Epstein in this, was to have an easier trade route of human trafficking between Europe. And the more you look into the files and see who the victims are, you're going to find out a lot of these girls came from Eastern Europe, former USSR territories. That's why the powers that be always want war-torn countries. Look how decimated Guatemala is. I've traveled through all of Central America, Honduras. You just see kids just, wandering around. And to these power elites, that's not a soul. That's not a human being. That's just like a piece of just driftwood. And they're just, using it for its fire and then disposing of it. But you're going to find out this more and more. The further we go in depth with the Epstein files as it relates to the European Union. But in review, that's something else to think about. The Trump sting operation. Something to think about. Anyways, we're going to leave it there. I've gone way longer than I wanted to again tonight, and I'm dying here. I want to thank you for joining all of me here tonight and putting up with me. We're running on a shoelace. Good night, everybody. I got to go. I'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully. Good night, everyone. Dean Ryan signing out.